Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 117 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on June 14th, 2022. How are you wonderful folks doing on this unbelievably hot day? It is literally the surface of the sun out here, man. What's going on? I was out in the field recently and also this week doing some stuff, and boy, is the weather aggressive right now. Yeah, mid-June, man. It's mid-June. I was looking at the historical temperature record just because I was like, man, it's been hot for a while. So isn't this kind of early? So I started looking at the records. I was like, yeah, we're definitely hotter than it should be. I don't know. Frankly, I'm not really excited for when summer actually gets in full swing. It's going to be violent. I was looking at some deer this week. I had this really cool plan to get some water going for them in some certain areas, right? And other stuff, sort of happened. I got busy. So I let the water priority slip a little bit. So I saw this deer like this past weekend. This deer was looking at me. He walked right by me. He glared at me. He literally looked like he was thinking I disrespected him. The balls on this deer. He walked, I could touch this deer. He walked right by me. I understand though. I mean, it's hot, so I get it. I need to get that trough set up. I have this whole plan of this, this wildlife water source thing that I'm setting up, and I have it all. It's all in my head, right? I just haven't executed. I've been busy. That deer, he was pissed. Speaking of busy though, some incredible testing recently. I'm really excited to share that stuff with you folks as it trickles into the standard. It will trickle into the Silencer Sound standard, and so it'll be for everybody. It's going to be great. And you might say, testing? Of what? What's this guy talking about? Well, silencers, of course. That's right. And adding to the largest library of suppressed small arm test data on the planet. That's what I'm talking about. And you might ask, where would you even get a silencer so that you may experience this phenomenon firsthand? Well, one place is Silencer Shop. The J Situation Podcast is proudly sponsored by Silencer Shop. That's right. You can use their kiosk and do your fingerprints and photos electronically, and in turn, you cut down on errors. You simplify your silencer purchasing process. You get a money-back guarantee. It's great. No transfer fees, no paperwork errors, just you and your silencer with no drama. It truly is silencer ownership simplified. That's right. It is. Shoehorn that ad in. And secondly, this podcast is also brought to you by True Shot Gun Club out of Arizona. That's right. How do they support, you might ask? Well, it's simple. You click the link in the show notes just from this very episode in your favorite podcast provider or on the website, pewscience.com/podcast. When you click that link, it will take you to their site. If you buy ammo after using that link, it helps the podcast. It helps Pew Science. That's right. And if you also want to join their club to get free shipping on all of your ammo for a whole year, you can join with their A-Zone membership, and you can use code word PewScience at checkout, and you can get $20 off of that membership. That's right. You win, they win, you help the podcast. It's very simple. I hope that helps you. And lastly, and most importantly, this podcast is sponsored by Pew Science, pushing the silencer industry forward, one test at a time. You can visit pewscience.com for the suppression rating. It is the simplest and most accurate hearing safe rating for your suppressed small arms. It's based on true human sound perception. That's right, true inner ear response, actually, of the entire gunshot from before combustion takes place all the way until all the combustion is gone. It's in section 5 of the Silencer Sound Standard. Okay, the Silencer Sound Standard walks you through gunshot noise, sort of like Wikipedia, but more entertaining because it's about silencers, and who doesn't love those? There's 7 parts. They're all on pewscience.com for you to read. And if you haven't dug into it because it's a lot of words and frankly can be overwhelming, I understand. Skip directly to section 5 for the suppression rating. It's going to let you know how silencers stack up in comparison to one another with regard to sound at the muzzle and the shooter's ear. And it gives you a hearing safe dose limit for the particular platforms on which the silencers are tested, directly tied to inner ear response, guys. If the number's higher, it's going to be less risk for you. If the number's lower, it's going to be more risk of hearing damage. That's all there is to it, okay? It's all key to the dose chart on the website. You're not going to find this information anywhere else in the world, all right? Section 6 contains all the reviews. They're very detailed. Now, if you don't want to look at those reviews that show you the entire gunshot events using the PewSoft system for data acquisition, if you don't want to look at that, that's okay. There's the ranking section in Section 7. It's a simple database tool. It's a table. You can click it, sort it, filter it to your heart's content. When you find something you like, then you can click the links in the table there. It'll take you back to all the detailed reviews in Section 6. You can go wild. As always, if you are a manufacturer and you would like to use PEW Science for private testing and consulting services, there is a form on the website with which you can submit that inquiry. You can. People do it all the time. Anything you submit through that form is kept confidential, and all the results generated from a test program, whether those would be test results or analytical results, anything we generate as part of a contractual effort with you remains confidential unless you want to release it to the public. In which case, we can certainly help you do that. We do that several times. It's happened in the recent past. You can peruse some of the data on pewscience.com. You can see several of examples of that over the past couple of years. And you can support this podcast, PEW Science, and all of the testing I do by joining with a membership at pewscience.com. It really does help, guys. I greatly appreciate your help. It keeps this thing going. There's also a donate feature if you're not hip on the membership thing and you just want to throw a bone here and there. You can hit the donate button on the review page or podcast page, and every little bit helps. You can give a little bit, you can give a lot of it, or you can give nothing at all. And of course, you can do something that's completely free. Go ahead and give this podcast a good rating on iTunes and Spotify and things like that. Let folks know that silencers and guns are awesome, and we can probably normalize the use of suppressed small arms and, get a silencer on every gun. Hopefully, more guns in use as well. It's kind of what we're trying to do here. Normalize the use of small arm weapon systems, particularly ones that are suppressed. I think that's important. With all the strange political things going on in this day and age, let's go back to basics. Just give everybody a gun. That's what I say. 4 topics prepared for you today. Topic 1, a lot of recent field testing, multiple test programs, multiple surprises, and I will say it is an incredible time to be in the silencer game. So I'm going to talk about that. Topic 2, new sound signature review this week. Oh, yes. Long time coming? Probably. This one, probably. Yeah. And topic 3, listener questions are back. They are. Let's dive in again. We will address your queries. That's right. I love that time. And finally, topic 4, I do want to say the community is enthusiastic. It's certainly becoming educated and stronger. So, every day, folks use the published data and all the analysis on the website to inform themselves, others, and, really they're pushing the boundaries of the technology. So I just want to say that, and also give a special shout out to Charlie's Custom Clones. They are a new corporate PEW Science member dealer. So thank you for your support. Yeah, good old Charlie's Custom Clones. I believe they are in Virginia. I'm making a note to myself right now. I believe they are in Virginia. So we'll have to talk about those folks. You can go check them out if you're not aware of who they are. All right, let me get a drink of water 1 second. Okay, topic 1 at a time of 9 minutes and 16 seconds. Man, I was in meetings a lot today, and my voice is kind of going, but it'll be all right. Man, it is hot though. I was like, you're working at the office, you're in meetings and everything. Like, I'm gonna go to local shop and grab a sandwich. It's a nice day for a walk. Looks nice outside. You open the door. It's like, oh, didn't realize we lived on the surface of the sun. Interesting. Freaking hot, man. I'm like, man, it's like mid-June? Enough. I don't know, bitch and moan about the weather, but dude, sometimes I just wish we could keep, like, I don't like it super cold, and I certainly don't like it super hot. I guess I can deal with the heat more than the cold, I want to say. I don't know. Maybe that's not true. I guess there's extremes in both ends that suck, but I tell you what, I was like getting dehydrated today. I was like, man, I guess I'm going to be inside. I find actually that, and this is kind of topical to this topic, actually. I know I'm derailing already, but I will say I seem to get acclimated again to really high temperatures. It takes about a couple weeks, and then I'm good to go. But if I haven't been going hard in the paint, like outside, in super duper heat for a while, it seems to hit me every year. It's like, man, that's so weird. It's like you think your body would remember, but I think your body's lazy. It just wants to adapt, adapt to the easy. But yeah, speaking, because I've been out in the field, this topic I wanted to speak with you about a lot of recent field testing, multiple test programs, and we've been doing this for the past couple of months. Have been pretty busy, I would say, for PEW Science. It's been a pretty strong first and second quarter for private testing, I'd say, this 2022, and consulting services too has been pretty strong. So right now, I can say I'm pleased to inform you that several test programs are probably going to go public, and the time to be excited is coming, and it's probably going to keep coming for a while because there's stuff in the hopper that's been tested that's being distributed too. I mean, so there's quite a lot of stuff. There's analysis is ongoing. It's kind of a constant workflow, right? So, because I don't know if you know this, but there's testing. Then there's data QA. There's analysis going on, and that loop is basically always continuing in a loop, and then that loop doesn't stop. And then things are getting published from other things too. And so that's just like PEW Science just does that. Like that's kind of what this does. That's what the PEW Science ecosystem is. So like if you're not like, some people are like, oh, I wish he would just publish things now and faster. It's like, well, yeah, except it's like there's continuous like R&D going on too. So it's kind of interesting. And one of my absolute favorite things about PEW Science, about this entire ecosystem, is showcasing performance that knocks my socks off. You see, because I know it's going to knock a lot of other people's socks off too, which is cool. And by the end of all this, I want a lot of us not to be wearing socks. He's going to show us his feet. No, I'm not. Just kidding. This is actually one of those times I'm really excited to speak with you about silencers, and I wish I could just shout them out, and that's how excited I am about it. However, not only can I not do that, I wouldn't anyway. That's not how I work. That's not what I do. But I will say, in more than one case, and in more than one silencer, and on more than one platform, I conducted multiple tests just to be double dog super duper sure I wasn't losing my mind. Like it was it's been some of those situations have been happening, and it actually has been happening multiple times, and it doesn't happen a lot, and it's kind of weird. So when it does happen, you can be assured we have run across stuff that stands outside the norm. Because remember, a really good example of this, and folks that have been listening to the podcast for a while remember this. If you remember when I tested the CGS Helios QD on 308, I don't know if you remember. Pepperidge Farm remembers. But for those of you who don't remember that, I tested that silencer a very long time ago, and I had absolutely no knowledge of it prior to testing. No information was really available. Like no one had one, really. That I knew. And then And I kept getting these insane results. And I tested it, and I tested it, and I tested it. And sure enough, I was right. And I was like, no, my equipment's right. Like, this is right. The analysis is right. And it was incredible. I couldn't, and it was just one of those things where it stood outside what we had expected from, silencer. In this particular case, it was things that stood out from things we usually expected in the size envelope or, the type of silencer. Like it just didn't have that type of thing. And it happens every once in a while, and we are hitting those situations again, and on various platforms too. And that's the part that's interesting. And and the fact we're not even out of the second quarter of the year, it means that 2022 is going to be a banger, man. Like it's interesting because, and I'm almost looking at this as an indicator, right? And you don't want to make, it's funny. A lot of people use, I've spoken about this before, but particularly in business vernacular and in a lot of corporate guys will say, oh, well, I'm using this as a KPI, a key performance indicator, and they'll live their life, they'll live and die by these KPIs, right? And if their KPIs go up, they claim victory, and if their KPIs go down, they place blame and find solutions to make them go back up. And it's like it's just like anything. Anytime there's a number, someone wants the number to be higher. So I don't want to say it's one of those, but early on in the PEW Science effort, before I launched the standard, I had tested a lot of silencers privately to develop all of this methodology and framework and an understanding. Like before you create an ecosystem, you have to understand what will live in it, right? Like you can't just build a planet and not understand what you're going to put on the planet to live. Like you're probably going to build a planet, to have it be able to be inhabited by certain biological life, right? So you would create a certain atmosphere and gravitational pull and everything like that. So the Silencer Sound Standard is a product of essentially what existed. Understand, in small arms and in suppressed small arms. It's custom tailored to that. And so I had to do that. I had to, understand what made it tick. So in doing so, we had a baseline of, okay, these are typical silencers on typical weapon systems. This is the framework we're going to run in most of the time. We're going to be able to disseminate information to people in this way properly, and it's all going to make sense because it'll be familiar and everyone will be like, oh, these are excellent peg points for understanding. And, some people are more impatient than others, so they were very impatient. Oh, why doesn't he show AR testing? And now I show Mark 18, they're like, oh, well, why doesn't he show 300 blackout AR testing? It's like, hey, well, calm down, Why doesn't he show this? Okay, calm down. You know what I mean? But, you get the point of what I'm saying. So all that happened. But now when we test and we're getting results, we already have so much context for what the normal was for a decade or two in the silencer game that now when something is an outlier, it really means a lot more because you have all these other reference points. And back to the KPI discussion, one of the indicators that I'm looking at is I am seeing more outliers come through PEW Science testing at an increased rate compared to last year. And our reference points haven't been that extremely different because the reference points were kind of established early on. So it's funny. I see that as an indicator of possibly industry advancement already happening. Now, I'm not saying necessarily that designs are being made because of PEW Science. I mean, although that is happening, that's not what I'm saying right now. What I'm saying is there is opportunity for people that are chasing designs to submit them to the proving ground to be showcased. You see what I mean? So those two things I just said, like one is actual R&D happening with PEW Science and because of PEW Science and things being created with PEW Science. The other thing is PEW Science being able to show you the new stuff that's been created. Those two things are different, but at the end of the day, the practical difference to the end user is nothing. To you, if you're an end user, there is no difference to you. The end result is you're getting something new that works better. And the reason is the same in both cases, because of PEW Science. You see what I mean? Because either way, you're not going to know about it unless PEW Science is here to show you. So that's my argument. My argument is that's happening. And one indicator, I think, is that I keep running into stuff that works really well. I mean, I guess on the flip side of that, you could say, well, that would have happened anyway. It's like, I don't know that it would, though. I don't know. You can make the argument that it probably it might not have happened, because how would you know? How would you know that some of this stuff is even happening? And what research directions would people go? How do you know? You know what I mean? Like, how would you know? And that's the thing that's crazy. Like, if you guys thought PEW Science was controversial before, just wait, dude. Whoever loves this stuff is hungry for more data, you guys are going to be satisfied. Whoever is skeptical and is still not liking what we're doing here in this PEW Science land, is like still kind of like, I don't know if I trust Jay. I think he's kind of shady. All those people, I bet you they start to come around too. It's getting undeniable at this point. Like I'm seeing it happen. Like I don't spend all day on the internet, okay? But I allocate a certain amount of time to do so, and I see what's going on. Like they're coming around. Come on, man. Like you can only hold out for so long before you realize it's awesome. So we really hit our stride in testing recently. Some really dialed in stuff. And this is what made it possible. I want to kind of tell you guys this. A lot of people don't think about this part, but there have been some really clutch contracts with really serious clients putting out really serious silencers, and those products are getting really serious results. Excuse me. Like some of these guys are playing for keeps, and I'm not mad about it, dude. I am not mad about it. This is the performance gauntlet now at PEW Science. The playing field is set. People are showing up. They're showing up now. At first it was like, oh, let's kind of see what this does. No. Now it's like it's becoming pretty serious for a lot of companies, and they're putting effort toward it to where they're contracting for it. This isn't like, oh, maybe he'll get around to testing our silencer. No, dude. This is like, if the people are serious, they're like, we're respecting this. We're respecting what consumers want. We know that this is the future. We're going to put money toward this, and we're going to have our silencers tested because we know where our silencers are going to do. And several companies are doing that now. And you will see them published. And that is awesome. It's like it's like those movies where people show up to like illegal fight clubs and like races and stuff, like with crazy cars, and then people end up doing really neat stuff in those movies. Except this is completely illegal and no one dies with PEW Science, okay? Which is nice. It's nice. It's like it's a good place. You know, it's like that though, because it's like, oh my god, this used to be some kind of underground crazy part, but now it's like super serious. It's cool. You know? I mean, and I will give you one hint and this isn't a global hint for all of the stuff coming, but it's one. What do you think the limits are on the Mark 18? Like, do you have a guess? Like, What do you think it is? We've talked about this. I've talked about it in a listener question probably. I know I've gotten the question from several PEW Science members, both in email and DM. I've seen people talk about it on internet forums. I've seen people talk about it on Reddit. I've seen people talk about it on Instagram and Facebook. So all of those things I just said, like a lot of people think that those places aren't real, but turns out it probably it captures like a bunch of people's conversations about silencers. All kinds of people are guessing how quiet can a silencer be on the Mark 18, and especially at the ear. What are the limits? And some people, I have seen some people go so far as to say, oh, well, what we're seeing is the limit on the we're just seeing the ear limit on the Mark 18. That's just what you're seeing. And I'm like, the hubris of you. Like, that is a bold statement. We're seeing the ear limit. How could you possibly know that? Like, to be able to say that with confidence is a strong statement. I have seen a couple people say that. Not only consumers, I've seen a manufacturer say that before. I'm like, you know that? Okay. Because I didn't know that. And I can tell you right now, something's already blown my mind in testing, so if it's blowing my mind, then maybe it'll blow yours too. So that's one hint. That's the only hint you're getting, okay? So stay tuned, friends. Stay tuned. And I'm telling you, man, I really thought we were hitting some limits on the Mark 18, like we were getting close. I was like, we're probably close. I don't know what the exact limit's going to be, but we're probably close. And I really think that we might not have seen them yet. And ordinarily, I would be able to foreshadow and say, well, yeah, we haven't hit them yet, but we're probably going to hit them, and this is how we're going to. And now after doing some more testing, I'm like, I guess I was wrong, and there are other ways to do this, and oh my gosh. And I'll be like, whoa, you know what I mean? It's crazy. I'm so excited about it. And that's just like one thing I'm excited about right now. And there's so many others. Plus there's other stuff. There's other stuff that has nothing to do with contracted testing that I've tested that I just think is so great to know about, for the community in general, that was never going to be tested without me just taking the initiative to do it. So that stuff's cool too. So I'm excited about that coming. So it's cool. It's been a lot of work this year so far. It's June, and it's been hard. And we've been doing the podcast every week too. So it's been pretty crazy. But I think it's going to pay dividends into the mid-year here, and then moving into quarter three. I think some stuff will be shining, and you guys are going to be pretty stoked about it. I'm stoked about it. So, even if you're not necessarily in the market for a silencer right now, I think just seeing the research is going to blow your mind. So that's cool. And, you guys can try to guess about what I'm talking about, all you want. There's enough misdirection and incomplete information in this topic that I just said to totally confuse you. So guess anyway, though, it's fun. Let's move into topic 3 at a time of topic 2, sorry, at a time of 28 minutes. 33 seconds. Oh, I debated not even doing that previous topic because I wanted to talk about that, but I didn't want to just tease you the whole time about stuff. But I just think it's so here's how I work. I'm excited about stuff, and that's what the podcast is. It's basically me talking about what I like to talk about. Okay, what excites me, what gets me going. And I'm telling you, when I see when I see PEW Science being useful and paying dividends, well, I'm excited about that because everyone's listening right now. You guys are the reason for this even being able to exist. It's you did this, so hats off to you. All right, topic 2, new sound signature review this week. Yeah, this one's a long time coming too. Speaking of research, all that hype I just gave you in this review doesn't have anything to do with it at all, actually. It doesn't. No, seriously, though. I'm digging into something that needed to be done. Boy, howdy. Am I going to do it? I do anticipate this one being popular this week. But I also anticipate people being frustrated. Maybe with me. I don't know. You never know. It occurs from time to time. Sometimes I think you have to break some eggs to make an omelet. And other times, maybe we need to get stuff out of the freezer and make a good casserole. I don't know where I'm going with that. I will say the data coming to you this week it's gonna plug a huge puzzle piece hole. And it is made possible by direct support. And when it's all said and done, it will stand on its own, I think, as something that's studied and referenced for years to come. I think this is one of those reviews, and we're going to move deep into the catalog this week, and I think the silencer people out there are going to be here for it. I hope all you new folks are here for it too. Some people are going to be, it's like when you go to a party and like you're like, I don't know, you turn on some music and everyone looks at you like, what? And you're like, oh, guess I'm too old for you guys. It's, you know what I mean? Like, I hope you new folks are here for this one. I would say welcome, friends. Welcome to the family. If you hang with this review, and you'll be all right. I think it's going to be one of those. You're like, he tested that. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Sometimes I'm going to do these for and that's the thing, and that's one thing that's okay. And now hear this. I wasn't going to say this, but I think I'm going to say it. The people that get upset because PEW Science is a engineering consultancy and test laboratory run by a consulting engineer, they get upset that those services cost money. They want everything I do to be completely free to everybody. And I don't know how they expect that to be funded. I guess they think that I don't know what they think. I don't understand that, because it doesn't exist in real society, right? It's that's like people who want the government to give them a salary every day for not doing any work, or they want free everything. It's like welfare or something. It's weird. And those people that like silencers, I'm like, I thought you guys were the ones that were not wanting government handouts. Is that a different political spectrum that I'm familiar with? I don't know. I don't get involved in all that stuff, but it's really curious to me. So these people that they're like, oh, he's clearly corrupt because he wants to be compensated for work. I'm like, well, that's crazy. It's a crazy statement. And so when I release this review this week, what are they going to say about that? Is what I want to know. Because this is completely internal funding. This is my money for you. So I don't know what people are gonna. Isn't that weird? It's what you're only gonna argue the stuff that's revenue based. Oh well, he's charging, so okay. Well, you do it. Tell you what, you do it for free, and we'll compare notes, and we can go and we can set up a table. I'll buy you beers, dude. We'll sit together. We'll drink beers on this table, and you can lay out all your data on the table, and I'll lay out all my data, and we can compare notes. Since you're going to do all for free, you should be able to do this too, right? Oh, you don't need to be paid for it, do you? Come on, man. It should be easy. That's right. All right. Topic 3 at a time of 34 minutes. I can't understand that. 34 minutes and 42 seconds. I just have never understood that. I don't get it. Like I see a lot, it's not only PEW Science as a business, but I see all kinds of other businesses, that, they do something and it took a lot of work to do or whatever. And they charge money for it because they're like, well, we want to be able to keep this going. And I see people, they're like, oh man, that costs money. And you're like, yes, that is a thing we use to exchange for goods and services on the planet. You know how you talk about inflation right now? Like your money's worth less. Like we talk about money because we need it. We use it to get things done. It's like, are you kidding me, guys? I don't know what it is, man. It's like, I guess if it was one thing, if he was just like, you give someone money and then they just tell you something. But, it's like we're showing our work. It's right there. Literally showing the work. Okay, topic 3. I just pulled up our listener questions spreadsheet. I love this, man. Listener questions are back. I decided, I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, there is no way we are going to ever finish with this 4th solicitation if we don't keep tackling it like more often. So I was like, we're throwing in listener questions again. So if I go into here, last time we left off on global question 226, local question 29 of the 4th solicitation. No, I'm sorry. Error. Just made an error. We left off on 225, local question 28. That's right. And that question was, any plans for testing the Surefire Mini 2 or the SB2? And I talked about that. I said, yeah, we'll probably get to them. Probably not right now. I want to test them, but, you need to keep in mind the difference in bore size between the SB2 and the RC2. One second. Things like that. So if you want to go back to find that, again, always on pewscience.com/podcast, if you click on the metadata tags at the bottom of each post, the listener questions metadata tag will be there if there are questions. So on this episode, when this is published tomorrow morning, or it'll be published on the 15th of June. This is currently the 14th. Future Jay is going to publish this in the morning. When he does that, if he remembers, he will tag the episode with listener questions, and you can click that, and then you can click back on the previous episode in which you will find the answer to the question we just talked about. Okay, so question 226, sub-question 29. Wait a minute. No. No. I butchered this entire thing. I am in a wrong section of the spreadsheet. We already went through all this. Oh, I apologize. Oh my gosh, this is embarrassing. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't scroll far enough down. No. Ignore everything I just said about that Surefire thing. We had tested that a long time ago. I have all these yellow rows where we leave off every time. No, the last question we did was 229, sub-question 32, and it was a question about what's the ideal muzzle device design for a QD setup. That was the last question we went to. That was on the previous listener questions episode, and that was a really involved question. Now I remember that. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we talked about that. So go back to the previous episode and listen to that answer. The real question we're on now is question 230, sub-question 33. That's right. Okay, here we are. I'm sorry. Man, what a bonehead play. Wasted your time and mine. Okay, we'll get back on track. Question 33. Can supersonic 300 blackout data be reasonably estimated from 308 data? Or is it very unique? Well, I would say yeah. Good question, sir, ma'am. First of all, that's a really great question. I would say yeah, kind of. You might be able to estimate supersonic 300 blackout from 308, but it's... if I said yes, I'd be lying to you. And it's an incomplete answer. This is actually a very timely occurrence to answer this question, because I remember on the previous episode we spoke about the Razor 556 on the Mark 18 and how it differs from the Razor 762 on the Mark 18. And we talked about why, didn't we? And the reason that is relevant to your question is because we saw radically different performance with a similar silencer that had just just had some small changes to optimize it for a different combustion regime. Okay, one thing that changes between 308 and 556 is the jet diameter. We know that, but there are other combustion parameters that change, and the barrel length also makes a difference, right? And then, furthermore, you got to think about the overall energy is different, and so all of these factors are related. So I guess to answer your question, I can confidently say no, because you asked two questions. Your first question was, can supersonic 300 blackout data be reasonably estimated from 308 data? So I'm going to say no. And then your second question is, or is it very unique? I'm going to say yes. It's unique to not only the cartridge, but also the barrel length. Now, I think what you're saying, let me say this a different way. I think what you're really asking is, will it scale? And I'm going to say maybe, because everything scales with enough parameters, right? Everything scales with enough parameters. You can scale anything. You just have to. You can turn a number into any other number. You just have to use other operators. You can make something say whatever you want it to say. You just have to know how to get there. So yeah, I mean, in that respect, can it be reasonably estimated? Well, the answer is probably yes eventually. When we get enough data, we can probably estimate anything. That's what the power of this. That's why Big Silencer wants to stop it. No, it's like the conspiracy, right? Like, oh, he made a car that's powered by water, and now that he's assassinated, something stupid like that. Theoretically, So question 2. I can't answer this one publicly. This is for the first time in listener questions. I am choosing to omit a question. So let it be known that question 231, sub-question 34 is being striking it from the record. This is something that I transcribed into my spreadsheet when receiving it. At the time, I thought I was going to be able to answer it. Things have happened since that time that was causing me to retract this and skip it. I'm sorry. That just happened in real time. I would have just not told you, except it would screw up my numbering system. So now you know. Question 232, sub question 35. Testing the Otter Creek polonium. Okay, well, first of all, thank you for the question. To answer that, yes, this is clearly an old question because that was released in Sound Signature Review. I don't know. It was in May. It was review 75. Yeah, Sound Signature Review 675 in May is when I released the test data for the Otter Creek polonium on the Mark 18. That's right. So if you haven't seen that test data analysis, it is presented there in the Silencer Sound Standard in May. You can go check it out. And if you're a PEW Science member, you can certainly go there and check out all the data in detail. Okay. Question 233, sub-question 36. Rate Daniel Defense as a whole and go hard. Rate Daniel Defense as a whole and go hard. As a whole and go hard. Go hard where? As a whole, like their whole company, dude. Like I don't know them. Like how am I gonna even know? Do you know them? You work in the industry? Like who are you? I'm gonna try to answer this. I don't know what the go hard means, other than like, oh, you want me to be like radically candid with you? But am I not always? Like, except when I can't answer something. No. I don't know. I can only speak from experience. I can't speculate, but from experience, like when I talk about weapon systems, I'm only going to give you real information. I can tell you that the Mark 18 upper assembly that I use for testing at PEW Science is high quality. Daniel Defense makes that. So, if the Mark 18 upper assembly is representative of other things they make with regard to quality, then they probably make high quality guns. Like I don't know what else to tell you. That would be my guess. I mean, I guess if and when I become more familiar with them, I can give you a more informed opinion, but that's all I know for now. You know what I mean? That's all I know for now. I don't know. It's interesting. I guess I've heard, it's a big company, so I've heard really exceptionally great things about them from some people, and some people hate their guts. And I guess that's just how the world works. Me personally, like I said, from experience, the Mark 18 is awesome. So, and actually, Daniel Defense has talked with me before, and they seem super cool. So, from my perspective, I don't know how to rate them. I don't really have a scale for rating a company, but I don't know. I think they're pretty cool. So, hope that helps, I guess. Sorry if you're one of their mortal enemies. Hoping I could say something bad. Question 234, sub-question 37. Some of your higher rated suppressors, would you do multiple calibers to see if it stays up top? Okay, I'm going to, real quick, thank you for the question. I understand what you're asking me, but I just want to say something for clarification. When you say some of your higher rated suppressors, that's a really weird way to say some of the silencers that have exhibited high suppression ratings on certain weapons because they perform well. That's how you should say it. I mean, I know you're shrinking the question down for Instagram, but they're not my silencers, and I'm not rating them. Like, I want you to understand, some people, I think, miss this. I'm not rating this silencer based on if I like it or not. This is I call it the suppression rating because we needed a name for the scale. It's just how much they hurt your ears, man. That's literally what they are. So your question is, would you take some of these that are quiet and see and test them on multiple calibers to see if they remain quiet, the quietest in their class, I think is what your question is asking. And to answer that, I would say, well, absolutely, and it's already been done. I mean, for one, check out the Hyperion. Check out the CGS Hyperion. That's a crazy silencer. I mean, look at it. It's done on you saw the CGS Hyperion on 308 and you saw it on 300 Blackout. Guess what? It's quiet on both. Huh. How about them apples? Okay. But also check out some silencers that didn't quite do as well doing that. Maybe like an OSS or Huxworks, right? They do fairly good on supersonic in certain respects, and you move them to subsonic, they're not going to do maybe that well. Or maybe you take one of the overboard silencers. Maybe you take a 30 caliber silencer that was really good on 308 and you put it on 5.56 and it's it wasn't really optimized for a 10.3 inch barrel for that gas jetting. So maybe it's not going to be as high in the suppression rating in certain parameters like muzzle or ear. That's that's another CGS example. This time the Helios QD. One silencer from CGS, you had the Hyperion. It's a switch hitter. The Helios QD, well, in this configuration of the Helios QD, that direct thread mount on the Mark 18, it doesn't seem to be as much of a switch hitter as the Hyperion would be with 300 Blackout and 308. You see, so it really depends. Some stuff can be good in a lot of places. Some things are specialists, and this is the nature of certain designs. And I mean, it's the nature of really the incredibly complex nature of small arms and small arm system combustion dynamics, really. So great question, sir, ma'am. I understand what you're asking. You want to know, would you do it on multiple calibers to see if it stays up top? Yeah, we're doing it. It's not really to see if it stays up top. It's to see what happens. And I can assure you that some silencers are going to be mediocre everywhere. Some silencers are going to be great in a lot of places. Some silencers are going to suck everywhere. Some silencers are going to be great in some places and absolutely be horrible in others. And that is the nature of the way silencers work. And now I'm really glad that people are seeing that, because for a long time, a lot of people didn't know that at all. And some people continue to say that that's not true. Those people are wrong. Okay, so I hope that helps. Question 235, sub-question 38. Could roller delay 556 outperform direct impingement suppression at ear if both are tuned? Okay, let me repeat your question more clearly. Let me add some words. Could a 556 weapon with a roller delayed blowback action outperform a direct impingement AR platform chambered in the same 556 cartridge? Could it outperform it in suppression at the ear if both were tuned? So your question, sir, ma'am, is if you took a roller delayed blowback 556 platform and you tuned it in some way to optimize lock time, and then you took a direct impingement platform and you tuned that in some way to optimize lock time, which one would be quieter at the ear with the same silencer? I guess that's another way of asking the question, right? So to answer that, you're saying will the roller delay be quieter? I mean, maybe, but you know what? I bet you a really good tuned DI system will be better than a roller delayed system at the ear due to the pressures, because I'm not sure I don't know that you can tune a 556 roller delayed system. Man, I mean, you can tune it, but I don't know that you can. I'm thinking through it. Like because I mean, you have a lot of tools, right? You can change the roller size, you can change the locking piece, get that bolt gap just right, get it so that it doesn't even want to cycle without a silencer or something crazy. Like, you could do that. I've done that with like a 9. With a 556 though, I'm trying to think of like how much would be involved, because like I think theoretically you might be able to, but then I'm thinking, well, what's practical and what parts are off the shelf you could buy to do it, like without doing machining. Like, just like, could you buy the rollers and the locking piece to actually make this happen? Because you say tune the roller, and there are some people that tune roller guns, but they are only changing the locking piece. And the people that go a step further and start changing rollers too, that can only work in some. Well, there's a tolerance window in which it works, right? You can only go so far on either direction. I don't know. I would need to do some experiments, and if I get to modify the roller gun mechanics, I bet I could get it to do some gnarly stuff. But man, that would be a good experiment. I tell you what, sir, ma'am, whoever asked this question, send me a 556 roller delayed blowback host to me. I tell you what, you send me a host gun for testing. Don't send me a bomb. Don't send me some clone that blows up. Send me something that's well made. If you send me a 556 roller delayed blowback host, I'll get some baseline numbers and we can talk about it. How's that sound? Is that cool? All right. I don't know if you're going to do it, but you should. Okay, next question. Thanks. Question 236, sub-question 39. Can we infer supersonic 300 blackout suppression performance from existing 308 data? Yeah. This is the exact same question as question number 33, but it's just worded differently. Okay, so the answer is no. Interesting. Ask the same question. Okay, question 237, sub-question 40. Do you think supersonic 308 silencer performance correlates to supersonic 300 black? This is the same question, now worded in reverse. Again, the answer is no. I wonder if one person asked 3 questions just to be like, as a test for me. I read your questions, bro. or maybe if enough, if that's a super popular answer, maybe I just need to release some, or really popular question, maybe I need to release some supersonic 300 blackout data. I didn't think that people cared that much. Why would you care? Oh, I guess because people are using it for, well, see, because I have it through the minifix. That's the data I have right now on it. The supersonic 300 blackout test data I have, it's all like from bolt gun. And I was thinking to myself, like, who cares? Like, if you're going to use a bolt gun and you're going to shoot a supersonic round, like, wouldn't you just like use a 308 to kill things with? If you're going to plink subsonically because it's fun, you would use subsonic. Maybe, I guess people use supersonic 300 blackout to hunt with, huh? Out of an AR. So that's probably what they want. Am I just missing am I just tone deaf to like the market of 300 blackout where people are using supersonics out of the, I guess if you want to, okay, no, fair enough. If you want to hunt with a short gun, like the minifix or whatever, 8-inch barrel, and you can still get good terminal ballistics because it's 300, it's supersonic 300. Okay, I could see the value in that, but I bet you this is being driven from semi, and that kind of makes me a little nervous about giving you the 8-inch because, well, if you're shooting it out of a 7-inch barrel 300 blackout AR, it's going to be louder than 8-inch bolt action. And guess what? That's why, and this is a good opportunity to tell you guys, if I didn't tell you last episode, the semi-auto 300 blackout test house for PEW Science is going to be a SIG MCX with a 6.75-inch barrel. I bought one on Gunbroker the other day, SBR. So I'm going to get that and use that, and we can talk about why. But so that's coming. So anyway, that's interesting that was asked 3 times. I would be interested to know if more people care, but anyway, the answer is no. It doesn't correlate like you think. It's interesting. I'm just trying to think if this is the same person. The first person said, can it be really reasonably estimated or is it very unique? The next person said, can we infer from existing data? And the next person said, do you think blah blah correlates? Could be the same guy. Usually there's like a really weird language difference. Okay. Question 238, sub-question 41. Will we ever see the Hopi in the rankings? Pouty face emoji. I transcribed the pouty face emoji into text. Yeah, dude. I've already tested it. So yeah, you'll see it. I just haven't published it because there's more pressing things at the moment. So you're going to get that data eventually. I'll publish it. I think it's going to be necessary for the standard. I think it's going to be cool to have in there. It's kind of a lesser known silencer. I think it's cool. I think some people have it. They want to know kind of how it stacks up. I will certainly put it in there. Okay. I will. It's not priority right now. That's the reason I haven't. Question 239, sub question 42. SDN6 data, pretty please. Prayer emoji. I'll send you mine for science. Hey, thanks for the question, but or demand. Now that AAC is back, it's probably going to happen, dude. So no need to send yours in. Please, AAC is back, so if they make it, I will test it, and it will be glorious. I want to say I have a call with AAC this week. Yep, I do. I was talking to those guys, and I am excited to meet them. The new AAC guys could be super cool. Super stoked about that, actually. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you too much, but that Tyrant 9 M HD, ooh, I have one. I got one from, I told you about that last episode. Did I put that on MP5? Oh my God. I'm going to post a picture of that tonight. I'm going to post a picture of that with this podcast is going to have a picture of that. Oh, that silencer is dang cool, man. Tell you what. Oh, AAC. Oh, man. The good old days. The good old days when we didn't know what anything could do. And now we kind of are figuring that out. But yeah, I think that could be cool. Yeah, and the SDN6, I don't know. If that one in particular, we'll see, because I know some interesting stuff is coming. So we'll have to see kind of how that plays out. I will keep that particular one in mind, though, sir, ma'am. Okay. Question 240, sub-question 43. Do you know of any women that listen to the podcast? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I do. Thanks for the question. Sir or ma'am, because it could be either. I'm telling you. That's why I always say that. I know. I would not say that as a joke. I'm serious. Like, first of all the chicks dig PEW Science in the podcast. You got to know that. In fact, folks are listening with their families and children, man. Like, I was talking with a very high level manufacturer of weapons. I'll just say this: a couple of months back. And his wife was in the room with him. And he said, "My wife says she loves your podcast." That's a true story. I was like, that made me smile. I was like, that's cool. Equal opportunity education and entertainment for everyone. Okay, we don't discriminate here at PEW Science. You can be a woman and like this stuff. It's fun. My woman likes silencers. So I think it's cool. Okay. Good question. Question 241, sub-question 44. Are powerlifting and silencers surrogate activities? Surrogate? No, I wouldn't say they're surrogate activities. Now, complementary? Yes. Now, surrogate as in I don't have time for one of them if I do the other. Well, that's a whole nother story, unfortunately. But yeah, I think they're complementary. I think powerlifting allows you to get very strong and to crush your enemies. I think silencers allow you to have more fun while practicing how to eliminate enemies. So it's pretty complementary in that way. I mean, both are geared toward winning in life. No, in all seriousness, I think people who lift weights are generally pretty cool, and silencers are cool. So it only makes sense they go together. I think that's like, I don't know. There's probably certain hobbies that go together. I think silencers and powerlifting seem to be close to that in a way. I'm trying to get more of my powerlifting buddies into guns. I think a lot of them are. They just, they got to allocate time like anything else. Question 242, sub-question 45. Do ears still get damaged during auditory exclusion? Oh, I don't think that's appropriate for me to even try to answer that. I would rather consult an audiologist and maybe not even an audiologist, but maybe an audiology expert. I would probably need to consult an expert on that. I would need to really review the studies to give you a correct answer, because I have seen some wild stuff on the internet about that, and this is one of those things where I bet if you Google it, you're going to get some interesting stuff, and I don't know that the research is, I don't know. I would really encourage you, sir or ma'am, if you really want to know, dig deep for that one. Don't be satisfied with just like some random article. You're probably going to need to understand the pedigree of the research and like what's going on, because that's the answer to that question is probably complex. You know what I mean? It's probably pretty complex, and also, I don't want to be irresponsible and tell you yes or no on that one. I think that requires more study. Okay. Question 243, sub-question 46. Why hasn't silencer technology developed more in unregulated countries? Or I guess what you really mean, sir, ma'am, why has silencer technology not develop more in countries that don't regulate their use? Well, that's a good question, and my theory would be that when things are unregulated and they're really easy to get, they can be much cheaper. Okay, and when things get cheap, there isn't a lot of profit motive to innovate significantly. You understand? So, like in the United States, the market has been artificially constrained by unjust laws, right? We have an artificial market for silencers. It doesn't even make sense. Okay, we have these unjust laws that have it basically makes people treat the purchases as much more serious. They're being treated more seriously than they are, right? Because and then it makes the competition more significant. Okay, and then you also have things like, the U.S. defense budget is very big, and our forces want the best stuff, and that's going to spur innovation and R&D and stuff in some of the companies, and then you get more competition that way too. So I think really competition is what's going to drive innovation. When there doesn't need to be competition, then who cares? And so that's why industries die. So I think the short answer is America is just built different, dude. We're really great, and I don't know. We wake up in the morning and piss excellence. I don't know what to tell you. I am a nationalist. I mean, I am a citizen of the United States, so I'm pretty patriotic in that way. I think we're awesome, and I think that unfortunately, one of the reasons our silencers are more awesome is because of the regulations. So in that part, we're not as awesome. It's kind of complex. I mean, that's my theory. I mean, I guess some people could argue that that's not true, but that's what I think. Question 244, sub-question 47. What do you do if your FFL hasn't certified you and it's been 2 weeks? FFL. Oh, you're asking. This is talking about e-forms. Dude, not my department. I don't sell silencers and I don't sell guns, so I'm not the person to ask that. Please reach out to your local. You know what? I don't know. Call silencer shop or something. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Question 245, sub-question 48. Can performance on 300 Blackout Supers more like 308 Supers or unknown? Okay. Are you guys messing with me? That's a record. That's 4 times. Someone asked, okay. The answer is no. Question 246, sub-question 49. Should I buy a 7.62 can if I only own a 5.56 platform and plan on stepping into the 308 realm? Okay, so you're asking if you should buy a 30 caliber silencer if you currently only own 5.56 weapons, but you do plan on stepping into 308 later. So you might need a 30 cal can later. So you're like, should I just buy one now? Maybe I'll have it ready. That's a good question. My answer would be not necessarily, unless you want to, because, and I know that's like not a very good answer, but I would say you need to get something that fits your needs the best. I can't tell you what to buy, but I can tell you that many dedicated 5.56 solutions are superior to 7.62 solutions on 5.56. That is not gonna go away, but it does depend on the system. Okay. Personally, I would say I'm a big fan of dedicated silencers for each gun. Dedicated silencer for each gun's cool. Sometimes multiple silencers for each gun. Actually, I go the opposite way, but I'm a lunatic, right? So your mileage may vary. In all seriousness, though, I think you should consider something for your use case. If you know it's going to hit both use cases well, because you have the data, well, then maybe that works for you. Okay, that's just some food for thought. And this question might have been asked before there was more 556 data on the website, so I hear you. It's a really good question. I mean, it's a very good question. I understand why you're asking it. It's a logical question. It makes sense. I'm glad you asked it. I'm sorry I can't really tell you what to do, but I think getting a dedicated sponsor is pretty smart. Okay. I hope that helps. Question 247, sub-question 50 of the fourth solicitation. Have 22 silencers hit a plateau, or is there any direction they could advance in? I think there are several methods of advancement currently available, and they have, with regard to rimfire 22, but I think those have to do with weight, accuracy, and aesthetics. That's what I think. Let's make 22 silencers pretty again. Get some water. I long for the days of the plain black silencers. I just want, I don't know. I have a classic taste when it comes to aesthetics for silencers. I don't get some of this stuff out now. It looks like spaceships and stuff, man. I don't know. I like plain stuff. That's just, it's subjective. I'm just different. Question 248, sub-question 51. Could you ever see yourself personally getting into suppressor R&D/manufacturing? Man, I get asked this all the time. Thank you for the question. I appreciate it. Yeah, sure, but I would have to dissolve PEW Science, wouldn't I? PEW Science can't exist with me running it if I manufactured silencers. You feel me? Like I already participate in R&D because I have R&D clients. So that's different. I mean, all consulting engineers that work in test laboratories do this. They consult on R&D. That is contrary to the opinions and knowledge of some detractors, this is actually very common in multiple industries. Okay, this is the reality of how that works. And people can have their opinions, but that is the reality. Now, it is less common in the firearms industry and particularly the silencer industry, because the firearms and silencer industries are very, very, very behind when it comes to many other industries. Very behind. So, and I've spoken about this before. It's because of regulation. It's because of regulation that but not in the way you think. Okay, this is a nuance. If we regulate things technically in firearm and silencer manufacturing, it will be used to later infringe upon the inherent human rights of individuals. That and to simplify that statement, another way you could say this is that this is why we can't have nice things. The very thing that would improve the silencer industry would destroy it. If the politics would go away, there would be higher standards, which would lead to more advancement, which would lead to better products, right? But the only way to advance this industry, is generally complete and crazy independent thought with a big enough bankroll to make it happen. Or maybe you have a small skunk works with a dream, or maybe you have a huge military contract bids. Those three things I just said that you probably think of examples of all three of those. Use your imagination, right? You could pick a company that fits in one of those three, and they probably have done some stuff that you've never seen. But that's why, and so to round that out, you ask, could I ever see myself personally getting into R&D manufacturing? It's like, well, I'm never going to design a silencer. and run PEW Science. That's not ethical. Okay? It's not ethical. Now, can I test a silencer and analyze its performance and let the designers know what it's doing? Absolutely, I can. Okay, as part of R&D. Can I make suggestions? Absolutely, I can. That's like, well, that's doing that. Well, if you didn't want to do that, then that would not do that. And you're like, well, that's right. That's just part of, consulting R&D under NDA. That's normal engineering consultancy stuff. Like, yeah, that, so, but there's a fine line. You start to make a product, and then the product starts to get sold, and then you're testing the product. Well, that's a conflict of interest, and that's a problem, right? So I hope that satisfies your curiosity. I hope that answers your question. I get this actually, and I'm glad that someone here asked it on this question solicitation. I get questions. That particular question, I have actually been offered jobs in the silencer industry. People ask, and it happens pretty often. I'd say once a month or once every couple months, I get offered a job to design silencer for silencer companies. And I respectfully decline the offer. So I had one guy, it was funny. One guy was like, what did he say to me? And I can say this because he's, he doesn't, I'm not going to say his name. I don't remember actually who he is. But he messaged me on social media something. He's like, how would you feel about, working for us and doing this and that? And I was like, I'm good. No, thanks. It's conflict of interest. And I basically explained to him just what I explained to you guys. No, conflict of interest. That's against my policy. I can't do it. Sorry. Have a great day. I wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors. Da-da-da. And he's like, you have complete autonomy. You have a 6-figure salary, 401k, and benefits. And I was like, dude, I get that now, man. I don't need you. It's like, what? I'm like, come on, man. It's not about that, man. It's about the integrity. I can't, I'm going to stop PEW Science now? Come on, man. It was weird. I'm like, come on. I don't think some people believe me when I say no. Yeah, I got to say multiple times. Thanks for the question. Question 249, sub-question 52. Sandman and Nomad Mark 18 data, please. Pirate flag emoji and devil horn hand emoji. Pirate flag emoji. I did transcribe this. I don't know who would use that. Thanks for the question. That will come eventually. The Sandman. I assume you mean Sandman S. Sandman S and the Nomad. These are both dead air silencers on the Mark 18. They'll come eventually. Hey, I will say right now, don't expect miracles though. I do want to say, and both of those are 30 caliber silencers. I do want to say, I hope you guys are following what happens with overboard silencers on the Mark 18. I hope by now you're understanding this. When I say overboard, I mean the main axial bore is bigger to accommodate projectiles that are larger than 5.56. I hope you guys have been following the research and you realize what that does. I think soon more people will understand that. And I bet you when I'm done with a lot of this research publication this year, people are going to look back a year ago and 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and I bet you will search. You can do an internet search about people recommending certain silencers for certain platforms that are never going to be recommended again because people know what's going on now. We are changing the entire culture because people didn't have any real data before. A lot of people thought that supersonic silencers operate the same way as subsonic silencers. A lot of people think that. Not everyone, but some people even went so far as to tell consumers that in major articles on big websites. And they could not be more wrong. about that. I mean, some people went so far as to say things like, oh, well, the sonic crack's there anyway, so it doesn't. I'm like, oh my goodness gracious me. It's crazy, the things I've seen. So, I know you probably want Sandman data, Nomad data. Okay, you'll get it. But, we have to work into the schedule. That's so far the Sandman and Nomad stuff, that would have to be totally internally funded stuff by PEW Science. So, if a lot of members aren't asking me for it, then I don't really look at it as much, because the members are really funding that, aren't they? At the end of the day, you know what I mean? So, hope that helps. All right, that is the last question I'm going to tackle. That's a lot. I'm going to highlight that. This I'm not going to forget. Maybe I should use a different color. So, like at the end, when I put yellow, maybe I should go back up to the other one and highlight it like orange. That way, next time when I scroll up, I will get to the right one. Okay, saving that, closing our spreadsheet. Boom, we are good. Okay, we're going to move into topic 4 at a time of 1 hour, 21 minutes, and 17 seconds. Okay, topic 4. Oh, yeah, I wanted to talk about this. The entire community is so enthusiastic. And it's really, you guys are really getting educated, and the PEW Science Army is strong, and it's awesome. And I see it every day. People are using the data that's published on pewscience.com. They're educating themselves, and then they're like, "Hey man, check out what I found," and then they're pushing the bound and they're pushing it to people, and then the other people are pushing the boundaries of the technology. Like manufacturers are doing it. And then you get more support to make it even better. For example, Charlie's Custom Clones. I wanted to talk about them. PEW Science member dealer. They didn't have to join PEW Science. They're selling silencers. They go to the website. They're like, oh, okay, these silencers good. They're like, they reach out to me like, man, I like what you're doing. We want to help. I'm like, how can I help you? Like, you can join. And they did. It's amazing, dude. All of this stuff is amazing. I post on social media about it. It's inspiring. It's wild. Every day, people tell me about getting others into suppressed small arms and silencers. And they are completely changing the landscape of firearm ownership for people they know and love, all because they are able to understand more about the systems. And they're meeting like-minded people who follow the work. Okay? Everyone that's doing this, they got that common bond, that grassroots support, baby. That's right, the research support, grassroots, PEW Science Army, out there winning, continuously winning. Everyone's winning. All these people, they're winners. They're like, this is the right answer. We're going to use this. Check it out. I want you to know it too. And they're like, let's support it. Let's make it happen. Boom. It's aggressive. It's awesome, dude. That's what you want. You want die-hard support for an effort that's working and making an entire industry better. And not only that, dealers are doing it too. That's right. Literally using the information to help their customers get matched with the correct silencers for the use cases. And that's crazy. One of them is Charlie's Clones. Charlie's Custom Clones. I'm telling you, these guys, you know who they are? They sold me the Mark 18 upper assembly I use for all of the Mark 18 testing. Like, I triple checked it with them. I was like, does this have an 070 gas port? Is this, I was very particular, and they delivered it. They delivered the upper. They joined as a corporate supporter this week. Big shout out to them, man. It means a lot. Those guys, they're in Virginia. They sell silencers, but they also sell rifles and stuff. I don't think silencers is the main part of their business, frankly. I mean, mostly they're selling rifles and like a lot of military clone rifles, accessories, things like that. I'm not really, like me personally, I'm not into that. Like I'm not, like all that cloning stuff, I don't know a lot about it, but boy howdy, I know some people are. So if you're into that, maybe go check them out. maybe they're cool. They support PEW Science, so they definitely see the value in supporting this entire effort and doing it for the people. All of you that are listening to this too. So I think that's cool. Okay, so go check them out. Now, I hope you enjoyed this quick episode. I was going to make it quick, and it ended up being almost an hour and a half long. Sorry I was a bit cryptic in some of the updates, but I'm just so excited about it. And I wanted to say something. I just can't. I'm actually contractually obligated to not tell you a lot. So I'm like, it sucks. But you'll get data soon enough. And please stay tuned this week for a palate cleanser. Okay, you know how sometimes you're about to have a really great meal and you just need to, maybe have a little bit of an appetizer, prep you. Well, that's what this week is for. Okay? The main course will be coming. But for now, have a drink. Lay back. Stay safe out there, friends. I will talk with you folks again soon. All right, bye.